Hi, I'm Julie Torrens. Welcome. So I've got the little acrylic journal that we started, maybe a couple months ago, but it's time to use it again. So what I'm putting on here right now is a Martha Stewart, and it's a pearl color, but it's got it's called Fruit Punch. It's kind of a pearly red. So I thought that would be fun. My brush is already wet because I was using it for something else. So I know it's clean and wet. And I'm just going to kind of divide my page up like that. And this is going to be the only pearl. Ooh, I want a smooth line. Can you see? Oh, I don't know if you saw that drip come off, but that came off of the ferrule. And I don't want drips of water. So I want this to be a smoother line, dividing it up. So may need to make it just a little bit bigger to get the little stray marks that happened. Okay, so I know that we are just starting in November, but I know also that there are people thinking about making Christmas gifts, Christmas cards, because let's face it, us makers, we need to have some lead time if we're going to be making this stuff, right? So I don't think it's too early to start getting some ideas flowing. And that's one of the many things that your art journals can be so helpful with, is just fleshing out ideas. And that's what I'm doing today. So I do have Christmassy colors picked out. I'm sorry that my arms are crossed, but I need to get some tension on this so I can get the bottom. There we go. Okay. So yeah, I've got some Christmassy colors. Use what you have. If you have just a set that has your main mixing colors, your primary colors, yellow and blue make green, and there's going to be already red in the bunch if that's what you want. If you've got a blue and white is always a good combination, but just use what you have. If you go to some of the places, another drip from the ferrule. If you go to some of the places that are selling supplies that we're supposed to be using for our crafts, and you see all their pre-made decorations and stuff, it's a lot of colors, and yet they all read Christmas, either because of the topic or whatever. And if you say, well, I don't celebrate Christmas, okay, I hear you. Still, all kinds of colors. All I'm trying to say is you don't have to limit yourself to just a couple of colors. So this is wet, and I'm just yammering here a little bit while it dries. And while it is drying, I'll show you what else I've got. I've got just a plain paper plate for mixing, and I like to have a white base because I think if you're mixing colors, it's just a little bit handier for seeing what the color actually is. I've got an array of acrylic brushes. I'll show you that. See? Lots of kinds. And I've got this pearlized paint. I don't think I'm going to use it anymore, but I might. And then I've got these colors. And I thought we could use these guys in some Christmas. And these are Old Ranger paint daubers. I don't believe they sell them anymore, but they do sell the colors. But I'm just using them up. I got them at it's a craft warehouse that we have here. This is Emerald Green Liquitex, and I picked it out because it is supposed to be opaque. I've got just some titanium white just because. I've got some yellow in case I may want that for some tree toppers. And then I've got my Posca pens handy. I'll show you those. I've got my Posca pens handy, and those are acrylic paint pens. You can use whatever you have. It's just that because I try to do all of this in one video, I don't want to drag alcohol type markers over it. You can go ahead and do your acrylics and let it set for several hours before you use alcohol style markers, because when the alcohol will pick up the wet acrylic, that wet acrylic will dry on the end of your nibs and it will ruin them. Once it's dry on there, there is no saving them. You can replace the nibs, but you know, if you have that capability, but do you want to? So how are we doing? It's still a little wet. And if you can see my nails, forgive me. I didn't do them because I knew I was going to be working in acrylics and it's awfully hard on my nails. So, but I don't care. All right. So I'm going to make a variety of trees. Now, this is not a demarcation of like land and sky, or no, it's just color in the background, and that's it. So I'm going to start with this emerald green, which I think is going to be just your typical green. And we don't need much, so that's why I'm not pouring it directly from the tube. And let's start, and I got to keep in mind my size. So how many trees, how big are the trees going to be? I normally like bigger towards the front, smaller towards the back. Usually with acrylics, I like to work from back to front because they layer up nice. And what I mean by layer is that one will cover the other. So let's see, I've got some of these brushes. I want kind of a medium square brush. This will work. I am going to wet it. If you don't wet your brush first, I'm dabbing it off as well as I can, but there's enough water left inside there that your paint doesn't first wet the brush and then make paint available. The paint will pretty much be available, and you'll notice a big difference when you rinse out your brush. And I have 2 rinsing containers. Okay, I'm going simple geographics. I am not making like live looking trees. So just starting this one out with your basic triangle. I'm kind of thinking this may take on sort of a mid-century modern look, but I'm not particularly going for that, but I think it's possible. All right, let's get another one of these trees here. My book, because we've gotten further into the journal, now it's getting a little bouncy and I'm having to use clips. That's all right. Doesn't bother me. And, you know, this could be ideas for your Christmas cards or your holiday cards. It could be an idea for making wrapping paper or maybe making some gift tags. You know, there's any number of things that this could be used for. Now, I'm not going to make every green tree this green now. I'm just working on, I would say, like the first third of my art journal. If you don't have an art journal, get yourself a cereal box and work on the back. Just cut it open. And, you know, just use what you have. Maybe you have like a sketch pad and all the paper's used up. The back of that piece of cardboard can work good. But food packaging is always handy, right? Okay, so this will stay usable, moist, wet, long enough that I can go ahead and start another row of trees. And I think it'll be fine. I think I'm going to up my brushes, maybe. Should I? Just trying to kind of picture it. I think it'll be clumsy. I think either way. I think this is a little too small. And this is a little too big. But glancing over at my supplies, well, here. Was this one kind of in between? Well, we can try this one. All right. Next color of green. This is kind of a, I don't know, kind of an appley green. It's called electric lime. So let's get some electric lime. Can always add more. I did shake this, and I recently used these, like today, so I'm not so worried. All right, I'm going to wet this brush. And let's get some of these in here. I'm going to put one at this level. It's a big brush. Might be a little bit might be a little more difficult to get the point, but I can still grab another brush. I think I will. I kind of forgot that I was going to put some still at this top third. And you know, trees can also be any color. They can be blue. I've seen some beautiful where people used purple in their evergreens because it kind of looked like a sunset was near them. Better leave this out and make maybe one more at that level. Oh, this is clumsy. Yeah. Not to worry, we can always sharpen it up. And you know, your aesthetic might be that you want your trees to look like that. There's nothing wrong. Do what your heart tells you to do. Someone left me a comment recently, and if you're watching, I apologize that I don't remember your name, but it was like, your art should reflect your heart. And I thought, yeah, that's right. I think I'll still leave this out because who knows what's going to happen with this brush. All right, let's see if we can get now more of a mid-sized tree here. May need 2 coats to cover the red. That's all right. I like that size. I like that. I like the shapes. I think they're looking good. I'm just adding a little more of this green. The electric green. So, have you started some Christmas projects? I can tell you that my weather doesn't feel like it Christmas. Now, yesterday was Halloween, and we had just a little bit of rain in the morning, but it was just kind of cool and misty. Very autumn-like, very autumn. I wouldn't say, oh, and it reminded me of winter. No, 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 no. But it was definitely autumny, which was nice. I have 2 containers for rinsing my brush. I get one to get the bulk off, and then the second one, and I can really see if I did a fairly decent job in getting that off of there. And I'm just going to give it a bit of a dry off, and I'm going to go back to this emerald green and put in a couple that size. Oh, where did that one green brush go? Yeah. It's rolling all over my desk, getting acrylic paint everywhere. That's all right. All cleans up easy. Don't sweat the small stuff, or you'll never get arting. If you've got some wax paper or deli paper or freezer paper, or even if you just have some printer paper, those can be good as under papers when you're trying to keep your acrylics off of other surfaces, because they tend not to let the acrylic bleed through. Now, printer paper, you know, that comes in every weight and style and variety, so I can't vouch for that. But the wax paper, those types of papers that you might find in your kitchen, those will stop the acrylic paint from getting on the surface underneath. Just be sure you have enough of it. Just squaring this up a little bit. I've got some little stray marks at the bottom that I want to clean up. Okay. This is still looking a little wonky. There. Still wonky, but a little less wonky, we'll say. All right, there's one of those. And how about another one? That one's going to go a little bit on top of that one, which is fine. I've got some water on the ferrule. The ferrule is the metal part of your brush. And those drips can drip down all of a sudden, and you've got a puddle on your acrylic paints. Now I'm working in the seam of my journal, which is always just a little more challenging, but it can be done. Okay, let's get the other brush. See if we can clean this up a little bit. Clean it up a lot. If your paint is just a little too thick, it can make the finer details more difficult. But you don't want to just make your acrylic soupy, because if you do that, you can destroy the balance of the binder to the pigment, and then your paint will flake off. And I see people do this, artists that I respect, but I see them try to turn acrylic paints into watercolors, and I think, will it hold? I mean, they're working in their journals too, so, you know, is it any of my business? But I don't recommend it. Okay. Good. I think kind of a big green one right here of the dark green. And I think that could finish us off nice. Let's see what it does to how we feel about the whole composition. See, I worked from back to front. With these basic trees. Now, don't tell me you can't paint or draw a triangle, because I know you can. Yep. All right, what are you thinking? Looking okay? What about down here? I think if I start one down here, then I feel like I should have one going off up here, which I can do. Let's just flesh it in. Finding a dry spot here. Now, I did gesso under this page. I started out with a base layer of gesso, and I did that because this paper that I'm on, it's kind of a cardstocky paper. That's the Diane Reevely in her Dilutions line, and they're called dialogues, and they're small little traveler style journals. You can get a cover that you can put multiple of these journals in. It's a great system. Okay, I think that looks good up there, and then maybe one going off in this lighter green. I think so. Rinse this off. Give it the double rinse. And the big one. Yep. Give it a rinse. It's amazing. When I learned about this double rinsing system, it was in watercolor, not in acrylic. But I adapted it to acrylic, and I'm very glad I did. It works well for me. All right, so we said one more of the yellowy ones. So I've got some of that still on my paper plate, and we'll have it go right off the page. Like that. Is it looking festive? It's giving me a bit of a festive feel. Now I still got some paint on my brush, and I want to see, especially where I'm over the pink, to just get a little more pigment there. Yeah, I like that better, but I'm going to need just a little bit more. Not much. I'm tempted to just put my brush in here and give this, and it's not completely dry under there, but it's dry enough that I can get a second coat on. Okay. Now, let me know in the comments, please, if you've noticed that we have now on this channel a community page. So if you go to my YouTube homepage, so click on my face, and then you can go to my homepage and you'll see a tab where it says like about, videos. You'll see a tab that says community. And if you click on that, then that's kind of where our little chat is. I can put individual photographs in there, and I think you can too. We can have little, oh, what would you call it? Like polls, I guess, where I can ask, you know, how many want to see this, how many want to see that, or just a yes and no. Do you want to see more collage? Do you want, or I can ask questions, all of those things. Something else that I really have on my mind that I was hoping maybe some people would respond to. Do you have art supplies that you're not doing anything with? Just because maybe you don't even remember why you bought them, or maybe you bought them and you thought you knew how to use them, but you don't. Because I would be more than happy to do tutorials over those products that you just don't know what to do with. I mean, did you buy some crackle paste and you're like, oh, what am I supposed to be crackling with this? Or, you know, just how do I use this? Or I tried to use it and it looks just like plain white like my other texture paste. Let me know if there's something like that that you'd like to see. Because sometimes I feel like I walk a fine line between showing something new or showing something that y'all have seen so many times that you're bored with it. And, you know, I always find for myself, this is completely sodden. Let me get a new paper towel. I find for myself that even if it's something I've seen before, if it's a different person, I generally learn a different technique. So I'm okay if someone's going to show me how they use crackle paste, for instance, or what are their favorite adhesives. I learn a lot that way, but then I don't claim to be expert. So, okay, I can see that especially the first little trees that we started are dry enough that we can put some more acrylic on top. So I think that's what I'm going to do. Now I've got yellow to make some type of a topper. And yeah, I am going with some of the things that are, you know, predictable and recognizable, but yeah, I kind of want that. So I think I'm going to start out with this pink. And again, I have shook these just earlier today. And I'm just going to put, if I can, just a small amount. These are getting low. And it's a mixed blessing. I'm glad to get them used up, but I like these colors. So I hope I can find these colors again. But if I can't, I know I can find something similar. I just put a small amount on my paper plate. And I'm going to use a small brush. This is a number 5, it says. I don't know. Sometimes I don't know what country these brushes come from. And I'm not trying to be a smart aleck. I mean, I find that brush sizes vary quite a bit. I guess that's what I should say. I know that they are designed to vary when you go from a shorter brush to a longer brush. See, this is a 4 and this is a 5, which would make you think they're somewhat similar in size, but no. Longer brushes do have a different numbering system. Frankly, I just look at brushes and just grab what I want. Okay, this looks like the driest one to me. So I'm just going to start adding some small beads like this. And I am not going to be duding up these trees in some real crazy style. I like beads on a tree. I mean, not just with me painting them. I just like them. But you know what? I used to make jewelry and I had quite an extensive collection of beads. I mean, thousands of dollars of beads. But I used them. I sold my jewelry on eBay. At the time, eBay was... and when I started selling jewelry on eBay, there wasn't even Etsy. Etsy wasn't even around yet. But I like that. Okay, I like that. Now I'm going to just pick another tree. Maybe one of these. These are kind of wet still. Even that one. Well, I'm not going to get rid of the pink out of my palette. But I'm going to grab another color. This blue. What is this called? Caribbean Coast. This is probably one of the least full, so I'm just going to work out of the lid. And I'm going to just put some round balls. So what are you thinking? Is this something you'd consider trying? Something maybe that you'd put on a gift tag or maybe a Christmas card, or maybe just the backs of your envelopes from the Christmas cards that you have. Just paint a little tree like this on the back. Wouldn't that be cute? Sure. I mean, there are people, particularly people that have their own business, that do send out a large number of Christmas cards because it's really part of their marketing. And I don't think it's a bad way to be. But if that's you, I realize you're not going to make 200 cards. Well, I wouldn't think you would. Maybe you would make 3 or 4 designs and take them to a print shop and have them printed out. That's not a bad way to go. Okay, so we've got 2 trees decorated, at least the start of decorating, huh? All right. Now, I've still got this orange that we haven't used yet. So let's see what we can come up with this orange. Again, I think I'm just going to work out of the lid, because obviously I'm not using buckets and buckets of paint. And these lids are quite intricate because it's the dauber system that I never utilized. Okay, so what else? We've got balls and we've got beads. Well, maybe I'll do beads, but with it being a different color on a different size. And this one's big enough that, you know, I'm not opposed to having 2 colors on the tree. This looks fun. This looks fun to me. What do you think? Let's start another row this way. Now I could put, and you could put, just designs on them, like plaid or stripes. If that's, you know, more in your wheelhouse, more of something that you're a little bit more comfortable with, go for it. Maybe this part you would just want to do with your alcohol markers. Now this is a dedicated to acrylics journal. So I'm not going to have a primarily alcohol marker page in this little book. I've got other books that I can do that in, but I'm not really a alcohol marker user. I mean, I use them. It's like rubber stamps. I'm not a stamper, but I do use rubber stamps. I'm not a marker person. I mean, the people that do marker art, it's just so beautiful. But it's just, I can appreciate it. I don't enjoy it. And I've tried it. It doesn't match my style to me. That's how I feel. Now, there may be some alcohol artists out there that you can point to and say, well, Julie, this is exactly what you do. Well, show me, because I'm always open. Okay, so we've got the 3 main colors that I was considering using. So maybe I'll go ahead with the blue and put some blue on with the orange. Just maybe some random Christmas balls, but not as big as that other tree. What Christmas decorations maybe are you considering? Maybe you love to do floral arrangings. Maybe you like to do hand done wreaths. Those are so beautiful. I like to do that. I don't have the room to store the materials real well, but I enjoy it. I enjoy making like things for my front door, you know, that kind of stuff. Not too big on having a lot of that in the house. I have a thing with collecting dust and cobwebs and all that kind of stuff. And those things just, for me, it seems like I end up, I can't get them clean. And I'm not a germaphobe, but it's an effort and I have to really work at keeping my house clean, and anything that kind of stalls that process, which having those types of intricate floral things in my house can do that for me. If anything, I'll buy fresh and then throw it away when it's done. I like that tree. I like that tree very much. I'm smiling. Okay. I wonder how this blue is going to look on a dark tree. Let's give it a go. I think what I'm going to do is make some, yeah, it doesn't show up too much. I don't even know if you can see that. Am I too high? But when I get the Posca pens going, I can work with that. So I'm just going to add some of these big balls, baubles, whatever you like to call them. Yeah, that's fine. But it does tell me, unless I would add some white, which I could do, I'm probably not going to be using this color on the green trees, but let's give that a try while I've got it on my brush. Here's a little tube of titanium white, and I've got my brush in the hand. I've got the lid in my hand. So I know I'm not showing you my thing yet here. I can't set it down because there's still wet paint. And I think what I'm going to do is give this a shake without shaking the brush, because then I'll end up with paint on the walls. And just pour a little in, okay, with the white. Well, it's a lot, but it's okay. We may use it. It's hard. Like I said, when it gets this low in a pouring situation, it can be hard. All right, let's just see what we got. And we don't have to utilize all that. Yeah, I think it'll still look like it's in the family, but the white, titanium white, is going to just make it a little more opaque. So let's give that a try. I think I'm going to go ahead and work on this green tree. And what shape? I mean, I feel like I don't want to just do dots, but they're still small. I'm not going to make a little Santa sleigh or something. I know. I'm going to make some X's. And I'm going to put them like they're kind of like a garland. What do you think of that? Kind of fussy, but sometimes that's the way our art is. That's okay. I'm going to put another row this way. Cool. I'm liking it. I hope you like it. I'm concentrating, so I got quiet. So, I know that my brain is saying Christmas, but yesterday was trick-or-treating. Did you have trick-or-treaters come by? Did you have the porch light off? Now, where I live, they completely ignore Halloween because we have open concrete stairwells, and they are very afraid that kids would fall down the stairs. So they don't promote it in any which way, shape, or form. And I understand that. I think it's prudent. But, okay, I'm looking at what do I want to do next. I think I want to do orange again. So I was at my son and daughter-in-law's house. My grandson is, well, he was a year in July. So August, September, October. So he is 15 months. Still doesn't have a good walk going. He's walking a little, but he doesn't have a good walk going. So he went in the wagon. And while he was with his folks in the wagon for his first trick-or-treat time, me and the other grandparents were there. And we handed out the goodies. And then I would say my son and daughter-in-law, they probably got 200 kids there. So that was nice. And lots of costumes. And quite the combination between bought costumes and homemade costumes. So that's always heartwarming. And a very wide variety of kids. Of course, at the beginning, really, it wasn't even hardly dark because they started at 6 p.m. and it runs till 8 p.m. And really, the neighborhood, at least where I was, they really obeyed that. At 8 o'clock, the streets were empty. He lives on a cul-de-sac, but he's at the first house in, so we can see like streets coming and going plus his cul-de-sac. And yeah, the streets were empty at that 8 o'clock mark. But it was fun to see the kids. And it was fun to see my grandson who had no clue what was going on. He didn't care. I mean, it was an activity. He liked it. I babysat him all day yesterday because where he goes to kind of preschool / daycare type, they were asking for volunteers. So I don't know if they had more workers that wanted Halloween off than they had kids. I don't know, but I just told him sure. It was voluntary, but I just said sure, I'll watch him so that we know he's going to have enough help. All right, so what are you thinking? I am liking these colors. I don't feel like, until we get to the Posca part, like I need to add more colors. I'm just going to keep going with the pink and the orange and the blue for my decorations. Not going to hesitate to add white if I feel like it needs it. And I think I'm going to move across to this one. And let's go in there with pink. And let's see. Again, this one, I'm going to turn my book. This tree is a little bit small, so I can't do too much stuff. I mean, making those little X's was small enough. But let's see. Well, I could just make lines like this. Like the garland that goes around, that's like, sometimes it's fuzzy and, you know, different kinds. I almost feel like I'm painting a little dollhouse tree. And I do vary. I don't just make like zigzag, because if you've ever looked at a Christmas tree, that never works out that way. You know, I mean, it sometimes does, but sometimes it is got the draping in other spots around the tree. So I vary it up. Okay, now that these blue ones are a little bit dry, I'm going to put just a pink dot in the middle of the bulbs. But I know they're still going to need some work, but that's okay. All right, what next? We've got that one. I've got pink going. Could I add some pink to this one? I think I could. And I think with this one, I'm going to make bigger balls. Bobbles, whatever you want to call them. Yep. Right off the edge. You know, I like it when things go off the edge. I think it makes things have, I don't know, more interest, maybe a little more believability, can fit more in, all kinds of reasons. And I'm trying to purposely not have it look like polka dots, because I don't think anybody can add their Christmas decorations in a perfect polka dot pattern. Now, that being said, I would hardly say that I'm creating trees with a realistic look. Even that makes me laugh. It's the details that make the difference, though, folks. It really does. I think that's what makes or breaks artwork like this. I think it's all in the details. And yes, I could speed through this, and to tell you the truth, I don't think you'd learn a thing. But maybe you're already more expert than I am, and no doubt there's people out there. I don't know if they would decide to look up my channel, but yeah, speed through. Maybe you're just gleaning an idea. Well, that's fine. Go for it. So today we had significant fog this morning, like the kind that people have to be cautious when they're driving, literally. So that was, fun to see. But, I say that because I didn't have to drive in it this morning. That, I'm not without mercy for those that did have to drive in it. I didn't hear about any major accidents or catastrophes because of it, but it was quite the fog. And now, I mean, that's all burned out. It's lunchtime now, and that's all burned off, and we've got a nice sunshine going. Okay, what do you think of these? Good? I'm happy with it. Okay. So we've got pink on the brush, but I'm just not really seeing a space that I want to use pink right now. So let's rinse the brush off. How many trees do we have left? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. How many have we done? 6? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yep. Okay, so it's pink or blue. What are my colors? Pink or blue or orange. All right. Well, how about orange? Orange over here? Okay. I think this orange is going to have trouble. I'm going to put some orange on my little paper plate here. See? And add a little white. And my brush is a little wet. Here we go. And even if it hasn't altered the color much, it will pump up the opacity, making it less see-through. If you're using a titanium white acrylic paint. If you're using gouache or something, I don't know. I'm not saying don't do it. Try anything. But I sincerely don't know. I think I'm going to go up into this one. And let's see. My brush is awfully full. I was going to see about maybe putting some of those kind of X's in again. Yep, I like that. I think it's supposed to get almost 70 today. Warm. That's warm for us this time of year. I mean, when you consider that we've had snow flurries already this winter or fall, and we've already had multiple killing frosts. So that X got a little weird, but that's okay. If you want things to be perfect like it came off of a computer printer, then this isn't the medium for you. Although I'm sure there are sign painters and all that can, I'm sure they're out there and can achieve it. I'm not it. Never had that much dexterity. Yep, that looks good. Needs more, but it looks good. Okay, I'm going to put some more orange on this one. And I think, let's see, I think I'm just going to make stripes on this one. And I think I'm going to make them just kind of on the diagonal. And then maybe when I get the Posca pens going, we can dude it up. Okay. Yep. That was good. We've got little dots here, and little dots here, so I'm just feeling like little dots there would be a lot. But, I mean, we don't have a whole lot of choices. Let's see. Let's rinse this off. Go back to the pink, maybe. Pink or the blue? I'm going to go to the blue. And I'm going to give this tree little squares. Yep. Changing it up a bit. Almost looks like windows on a skyscraper kind of thing. This is just a more geometric tree. I like that. I think I need one more that has squares. I realize this is turning into a long video, but often these in the acrylic book are that way. Okay, 2 more trees. Ding, ding, ding. All right, I'm going to take, and I think I'll make this one into the squares. And I'm going to use the orange. And I'm making them bigger. Could be like little presents on the tree. Wouldn't that be fun? When we lived in Arizona, my son was growing up there. We did not have family there. It was just us. I didn't have one blood relative, nor did my son through his dad's side of the family. There was just, we didn't have him. And so they all were here in the Michigan, Ohio area. So we got a lot of presents in the mail that were in cards, be it gift cards, which were just starting to come into vogue then, or money in an envelope kind of a situation. So when those envelopes came, and we pretty kind of knew who it would be, we hung those envelopes on the tree, the same as ornaments, and then any packages. We did get packages from family, and again, there was no such thing as Amazon. Well, I take that back. That's not true. Amazon was where you sold and bought used and new books. That was the Amazon then. But people seeing Amazon trucks in the neighborhood and no, none of that was happening yet. So just having these squares on the tree reminds me of when we had envelopes on the tree. Yeah, because on Christmas morning, we gave us more to unwrap, kinda. It was fun. We didn't mind it. Nope. I think I'm going to put one more box down here. Okay, good. And I'm really liking this shimmery red behind everything. I think that looks really neat. Okay, we've just got this one left. And it's the biggest tree, so I can afford to put more colors on it. I think I'm going to start with the combination of that blue and white. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to make balls, bobbles, circles, and with the idea that we're going to put more decorating to it later, sort of like I did with one of the stripes, this one. And I said, when I get the Posca out, I think that's what I'll do with this. And I might even add more of the acrylic that we've got going on. I don't think they would have squeezed another ball up there. It feels like now, like my brush has come into itself, that it's painting really good. You know, I'm not getting so many little stray marks, and I could make a thin line or a thick line. Now, maybe my paint has just come into a level of dryness that lends itself to that. I don't know. But right now, I feel like I could do more fine details with this brush than I was able to do earlier. Maybe my hand has just settled down. You know, that could be. Maybe I was a little more shaky before. I don't know why. Doing videos does not make me nervous. And I drink decaf coffee, so I can't blame that. No. No telling. If you hear that little tick, 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 that's my clip hitting the work table. Believe it or not, there is a little bit of shimmer from that red that's come through the dark green and is coming through the blue. I mean, it's ever so subtle, but that's just how strong. And that's, you know, considered a craft paint. But don't poo-poo. You don't know. The biggest thing about buying craft paints is if you really like it, will you be able to buy it in a couple of years? They tend to be fashion-oriented. And so that's why I was saying with those Ranger, with the blue and the all those colors that I'm using, the color I'm using now, it is a fashion color. Well, that's what I call them. Ranger doesn't call them that. Liquitex doesn't call them that. But I would think if Ranger would make it again with the same name, I think it would be awfully close to the same color. You can't say that for all brands. I know for a fact some brands, and you know, it's been years, so I'm not going to, you know, start naming brand names, but when I would buy the paints that are in the bottles, the paints that are in this shape of a bottle, and sometimes, and we're years ago, but I mean, sometimes you could get 2 for $1 kind of a thing. But even buying recent, and I mean, like, let's say within 2 years, buying the same color wasn't the same. And they didn't claim they would be. I mean, they could have changed makers by then. You know, a lot of these products are white labeled, meaning that people work with a paint manufacturer to come up with their own line, and they put their name on it. I mean, let's face it. I'm using a Martha Stewart paint. Do you think Martha Stewart has a paint factory? No. But she has worked with the chemists and worked with the colorists, and she has worked with all that, you know, what shape of bottle she wants, how she wants the labeling, all that. So, I mean, I wouldn't say it's not hers. It is hers, but it's her name. And then if that company goes under, let's say, and I'm not saying that this has happened to Martha Stewart. I'm just using it as an example because I have that. But if Martha Stewart's company would go under, she's going to pick another company to create her paints. And that, you know, the formulas are probably proprietary and it's kind of starting from scratch. I don't know. I do know that I have used different company, same person's label, and the products were not the same. I can say that with all confidence. So, all right. They're all painted. Yay. Okay. Let's start the next phase. What do you say? I'm sure you're all thinking, yeah, about time. But hey, it's worth it. All right. I'm getting out the Poscas. I'm trying to kind of keep in my mind where we started, and we started up here. So I'm gonna work up here. I mean, now these are acrylic markers working on top of acrylic. So if I get this acrylic on my markers, all I have to do is wipe it off. It's acrylic with acrylic. All right, so I want to try to get as close as I can. So I would say this blue. I would say this orange and pink. This is as close as I'm going to get to that pink. And then I'm going to grab a white marker, and I'm going to grab a brown one for the stems, and then maybe a yellow. Oh my goodness. I didn't use the yellow acrylic on top, so I'm going to use the yellow Poscas on top. All right, first thing I'm going to do, I guess I can bring this back around. I'm going to put stems on them all so they don't just look like they're completely flying in the air. So I'm just going to, simple, nothing imaginative, just a little foot on the bottoms of the ones that we can see the bottoms of. If it's not exactly in the middle, I'm not worrying about it. You ever see a tree, a real tree? You ever buy one? Getting it straight and all in the stand and in your house, that's a challenge because they're real. So they can be a little cattywampus, that's for sure. I'm holding my hand in a weird way because I'm just trying to not drag my hand through wet paint. Now that one's not going to have a stem or a trunk. And this one. One more. Okay, and that's it for the brown. That's all that's going to do. Okay, now I think I'm going to turn it around. And some of these are clearly drier than others, but that's okay. We're just going for it. And the first thing I'm going to do is, I was going to say I should work this way so that I'm not bringing my hand through it, but I did turn it upside down. So I'm just going to outline these blue ones with the pink, and that's going to make the blue, I think, show better that there's a blue color. And then I already put a pink dot in there. So there's that. Anywhere else I want to definitely use this pink? Well, not that I know of. Not yet. Okay, I'm grabbing the orange. This looks shiny, but sometimes, yeah, it's okay. Sometimes it's shiny because it's not a matte finish. So I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to charge this. I just gave it a push because I just want to make orange dots along this pink. Doesn't that give it a different look? Sure it does. And I do like keeping the limited palette on this one. Now, to me, the holiday times, they're all about color. You color it up the way you want. I just was kind of going for a, I don't know if I'd say a look, but you know, I guess more like a mood, maybe. Let's see what this blue, I'm going to turn my book again. Let's see what this blue does around the whitened up blue. About the same. Well, that's okay. What it's doing is it's squaring up the squares. And then maybe we'll go back and see what we can do with them. Ooh, I went off a little. Ah, it's okay. It's hand done. Okay, good. Now, maybe I'm going to use the blue and do similar to what I did here, but maybe just, I'm going to put the blue dots more in between. I like that. Okay. Let's have this orange. And I think I'm going to put another row of beads. Yep. Looks good to me. Okay, I'm going to turn it around so I can just get a little better feel. All right, I'm going to take this orange and I'm going to put a dot in each of these blue ones. Dots are my friends. I use dots a lot. I think they can accomplish a lot. Okay. You know, this tree, I don't think I'm going to do anything with. This tree, I don't think I'm going to do anything with. That gives us these here. This is the last one I did, so we're going to leave it alone for a minute. But how about these X's? I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go with the blue. I wonder how dry they are. They're pretty dry. All right. I'm going to put a circle in the X. I wouldn't have dared tried this with the brush. No way. These bottom ones, I'm feeling the paint more. So I just dabbed off the tip. Yeah, I can just wipe it off on the paper towel and keep going. And there. Okay. I like that. All right, these baubles, I'm tempted to use white, but you know, I haven't used white anywhere else, so that kind of scares me. So I've got the choice of blue or orange. All right, orange. Okay, and what? How about if I just put a line of dots through each bauble and maybe a little point on the bottom? Boop, boop, boop. Can you see what I'm doing? Have I completely obliterated? I'm just putting dots and a line. Oh, I forgot his little line. Like that. Like it's got a little pointy thing at the bottom. Okay, I like that very much. Super, super. I think we're keeping enough like variables in it. This tree is starting to look bare to me now. I'm going to go in here with the pink. And I think I'm going to connect them. Like that. Like they're some kind of big bauble lights. Okay, I've got the pink in my hand. How about this one? I'm going to turn it. And let's see. This one can afford more decorating. So I'm going to go ahead and start by giving it 2 stripes. Just like that. And even though these colors didn't completely match what we were using, I always feel like they do okay. There. So the only one left is this, but I'm going to do more to this. So the only color left for this is orange. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a topper because I put a point on the bottom of the other ones. So I'm just putting a topper on these. Good, good, good. I'm liking it. Yes, I am liking it. Tooting my own horn. Honk, honk. That looks good to me. Okay, this is the last one. Just because it's the last one, let's not be skimpy. I think what I'm going to put in this is an X. Like that. If it didn't look like a window before, it's going to look like a window now. There. I like that. Okay, yellow toppers on everything we can see the top of. They're not going to all be the same, but they're not all going to be different. So let's give this a charge. And let's see. Well, we can start out with a bauble design. Like that. That looks good to me. And this one, we'll just give it a triangle or a diamond shape, I guess. Maybe stick these out just a little bit like that. And this one, how about one of these kind? And it has beads on it, bouncing kind of all over the place. Yep, that looks good. And this one can have maybe just one big bauble, like that. I'm going to turn this around, and I'm going to give this one a star. Good. I'm going to give this one a bauble. And I'm going to give this one's going to be tricky because it's on top of that one. I'm going to give it a big orange or big yellow bauble. And that covers it up nice. And then give it a bauble here and a bauble there. Like that. Okay. Maybe another star here. Good. Maybe one like this. Maybe this one can be one of those diamond shapes. Like that. One more? All right. How about a stem with a whirligig on top? Another whirligig? How about that? Okay. There's my little nod to the start of the holidays. Please let me know in the comments what you think. I think it's clever. I think it's good. So if you liked this, please consider giving it a thumbs up. And if you're new and would like to subscribe, it doesn't cost you a thing and it helps me so much. In the meantime, I'm looking forward to seeing you in another video. Bye.